To do yoga with you all today. This is the second day of the at-home training camp with CKO. I heard it was a pretty good Q&A yesterday, so that's awesome. We are doing yoga today. I'm working on my yoga teacher certification. I'll be done next week, so almost a yoga teacher, but not fully certified yet. I'll just ask everyone if you can keep yourself on mute so that I stay as speaker view for those of you who are on Zoom. Welcome to everyone on Facebook and Instagram as well. And for practice today, all you need is your yoga mat or just a non-slip surface. A mat is ideal because you kind of have some padding as well. If you're on a carpet, just make sure you're not going to slip. And if you're on a hardwood floor, make sure you have something to put under your knee as a little cushion. A pillow will do fine. You don't specifically need a block or anything, but it might be useful if you find that really tight just to bring the floor a little bit closer. So we're going to get started on our back, coming into Shavasana to start. Legs are long, hands by your side. Maybe wiggle your shoulder blades in towards each other a little bit so that you can have good posture while you lie here. Let your eyes close or soften down to one point. And just take a moment to arrive here. I'm sure you had practice earlier, or maybe this morning. Just bring your awareness closer into your body, tune out any distractions that you have going on at your house, and start to focus on your breathing. Deepening your inhales and lengthening your exhales. As you inhale, trying to send your breath low into your belly, into your hips. And as you exhale, try and take longer than you took to inhale. Maybe a count of 4, maybe a count of 6. And then bring the soles of your feet to the ground, bend your knees, toes pointing forwards, and bring your hands to your front hip bones. So find those front hip bones with your fingers. And just activate your low abs and press your low back down as hard as you can into the ground. And then let it go. The natural curve of your spine will probably lift that low back up. And then press that low back down again. And just notice how your front hip bones lift up a little bit towards your low ribs. And let it go. And one more time, press your low back down. So activate through your sort of lower abs. Hold here and just make sure you can still breathe. You don't need to be activating your upper core so much that you can't keep breathing. And bring your hands to your sides, palms face down. And really slow, lift up into a glute back ridge. So first your tailbone lifts. Keep that pelvic tilt that we just worked on. And then your lumbar spine, your low back. And then your thoracic spine, or the middle of your back, the one that interacts with your rib cage. All the way up as high as you can. Squeeze your glutes. Keep your knees pointing forwards. And then reverse that really slow, one vertebrae at a time. Land your spine. Going through your thoracic, all 12 of those vertebrae that line up with your 12 ribs, your lower back, and then finally your tailbone. Hug your knees in towards your chest, and then roll over onto your left side. So you may need to readjust if you need to stay on your mat, depending on how much space you have. But knees are bent, knees stack, hips stack, shoulders stack. If you have a pillow, that might be nice at this time. And then stack your palms one on top of the other, arms stretched out in front of you. On your inhale, reach your right hand, that's the one on top, further than your left hand. And then sliding your fingertips along the ground, reach up over your head, forming a half circle until your arms come out to a T shape for a reclined twist. Now, if you're like me and you have a small apartment, maybe you don't have space and your arm has to cactus shape or bend at 90 degrees when you're fully outstretched, or if you have space, you can keep that arm straight. And then reverse that, slide your fingertips up over your head along the ground, stacking your shoulders again until your palms stack. Again, reach your right palm further than your left, and then draw as big of a half circle as you can up over your head. Slide your fingers along the ground, intending your right shoulder towards the ground, but it's okay if it doesn't get there, until your arms are out in a T shape. Intending to keep your knees and hips stacked, but again, if they don't quite stay stacked, that's totally fine. As you stay here, maybe you feel sensation through your right pec as you're opening up through your chest. And just remembering that this is your practice and it's less important what shape you're in or what shape you're trying to put your body in, and more important, just how it feels in your body. Roll all the way onto your back. Bring the soles of your feet to the ground, knees are bent. And then hug your right knee into your chest. Left foot stays on the ground. Bring your left hand to your left hip just so it stays anchored. And then you're gonna reach your right hand sort of inside of your knee. So your right elbow is gonna kind of come to the inside of your right knee. And we're coming into half happy baby. So maybe you're grabbing for your ankle, or maybe the inside of your right foot, or the outside of your right foot with your right hand. And you're intending your right knee down and open towards your right armpit. Trying to keep your pelvis level on the ground and use your left hand as a reminder to keep that left hip down. If this is not working for your body, then just grab onto the inside of your knee and pull it wide. Wherever you're at, whatever part of your arm is connecting with the inside of your right leg, so maybe it's your elbow or your tricep, try to just play with using that part of your arm to widen your knee. And then let that go, hug both knees into your chest, and roll over onto your right side, adjusting as needed based on your mat space. Stack your hips, stack your knees, stack your shoulders, stack your palms. On your inhale, reach your left palm further than your right. And then slide those fingertips along the ground up over your head, opening up for your spinal twist. Trying to keep your hips stacked and trying to get both shoulders onto the ground. Just noticing, without judgment, any differences that you have between your sides. And then reverse, slide your fingertips up over your head. Maybe a little stretch for your lat here. And stack your shoulders, stack your palms. One more, slide those fingertips up and over your head. Open your chest. If it feels better to cactus your arm, you totally can. As you inhale, feel your spine grow long. And as you exhale, try and let yourself twist a little bit further. Roll onto your back. Recenter yourself on your mat if you need to. The sole of the right foot comes to the ground. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. And then right hand to your right hip to remind it to stay anchored. Reach towards the inside of your left knee with your left arm, and reach either for the ankle or shin or anywhere on your foot. You can loop your peace fingers around your big toe. You can grab for the outside or inside edge of your foot. And then just play around with using that arm, your left arm. See if you can send your knee just a little bit wider. You may feel your tailbone starting to lift as you deepen this stretch. It's not that it's really bad. You're not gonna really hurt yourself doing that, but just the intention is to keep your low back flat on the ground. And then let that go, hug both knees in towards your chest. Grab onto the backs of your thighs and start to rock and roll up the length of your spine. Do that a few times to gain some momentum. And we're gonna come forwards into a tabletop. So hands to the ground, shoulders on top of wrists, hips on top of knees. And move through some cat-cows. So for cow, drop your belly, lift your hips, pull your chest forward with your chin. And on your exhale, find cat, tuck your tailbone, separate your shoulder blades, tuck your chin. You can move at your own pace, just finding articulation through your spine. And think about what your pelvis is doing, just like we did in bridge. In cow, when you're lifting your tailbone, front hip bones are separating from your low ribs, tilting your pelvis forward. And in cat, when your tailbone is tucking, your front hip bones are coming close to those ribs, tilting your pelvis back. Come back to center. And then bring your knees a little bit closer together. Tuck your back toes, tuck all your toes. And sit your hips back onto your feet. Now, I know this can be very painful for some people, especially if you've been running a lot. So always the option to lift your hips up to take a little break for your feet. Notice your pelvis, okay? Try and keep it level. If you're dumping forwards, then bring those front hip bones back in towards your low ribs. And if you're doing the opposite, if you're tucking your tailbone down towards your heels, try to create some space between your ribs and your hips. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, hands to your heart. And when I say heart, I actually mean your sternum, which is the bone in between your ribs. On your inhale, feel your spine grow taller. And on your exhale, twist to the right. So we're actively twisting here. It's okay if you don't go that far. Keep your thumbs on your sternum and keep your chin pointing towards your fingers. On your inhale, come back to center. Exhale, twist to the left. And again, noticing without judgment, where are your differences in range of motion. Inhale, center. Exhale, stay here. Inhale, arms come up. On your exhale, bring your fingertips down to the ground. You can lift your hips up off your feet. Press into the ground, lift your knees, lift your hips, and land your heels. We're coming into forward fold at the back of your space, however you need to get there, gracefully or not. And just let yourself hang. First forward fold. Maybe you straighten one leg, bend the other. If you're very, very tight through your hips, sometimes it helps to widen your stance. Let your knees bend. Option to grab opposite elbows. And try to make the back of your neck long. So we'd be looking at your belly button or your knees. On your inhale, release your arms if you're holding them. And lift to flat back. So we're gonna hold this half lift. What is your pelvis doing? Okay, we're tipping it forwards. Front hip bones are coming down towards your thighs, tailbones pointing up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift again. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, lift all the way up to stand. Circle your arms up over your head, look up to your thumbs. And on your exhale, just make sure your feet are about hip width distance. And then sit down into your yoga chair. So it's not quite a full squat. Feet are relatively close, they could be touching, more likely they're about hip width distance. Take a look at your toes, make sure you can see them poking out from your knees so we're not coming all the way forwards here. Check that your pelvis is level. We're not dumping forwards or tucking back. And then try to rip your mat apart. So you're intending your feet and your knees and your hips away from each other. So feel the outsides of your hips turn on. Chest is proud. Biceps spin in towards your ears, arms are straight. One more breath here. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the ground. You can bend your knees. And walk your hands forward to a downward dog. So spread your fingertips wide. Middle fingers are pointing forwards towards the top of the mat. Protract your shoulders, so push them forwards, push the mat away. Heels can lift as much as you need. Try to sink your chest towards your knees. We're not here for very long. One more breath. And then look towards the top of your mat and step to a forward fold at the front of your space. However many steps you need. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand all the way up, strong through your legs. Arms circle up, look up at your thumbs. And exhale, hands to your heart. Take a breath here. On your inhale, circle your arms up to the sky, palms face each other. Exhale, sit back down into that chair. Make sure your low abs are on. One breath. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, hands to the ground, so bend your knees if you need to. And step back to a high plank. Squeeze your glutes, press the mat away. Drop your knees or don't, and lower your belly all the way to the ground. Untuck your toes. Keep your glutes and legs active. On your inhale, float your chest, float your hands, baby cobra. Keep the back of your neck long. Exhale, lower. Tuck your toes, and from your knees or your toes, press up and back into downward dog. One breath here. Lift your right leg up for three-legged dog. And then step it forwards to the outside of your right hand. So to your right pinky finger. Drop your back knee. And lift up into low lunge. So shoulders on top of hips. Take a moment here. You need a pillow for your knee. Now would be the time to grab it. Right foot is a little bit wide. We're gonna find our pelvic tilt. So find your front hip bones. Squeeze your glutes to make sure that you're not dumping forwards. You don't want your belly near your thigh. Okay, make sure that those glutes are active so that your pelvis is level. Arms up to the sky. Squeeze those glutes. And lunge your hips forwards. You probably don't need to go that far if your left glute is on to feel a hip flexor stretch on the left. And then sweep your arms down by your side, straighten your front leg. And again, you probably don't need to tip very far forwards because we're just gonna tip our pelvis, try and get your front hip bones forward, lift your tailbone until you feel sensation in your right hamstring. Right toes peel up off the mat towards your face. And then move through those two shapes, and your upper body doesn't have to do that much work. Lunge forward, squeeze your left glute until you feel sense, and then hips forward until you feel sensation in the front of your hip. Sweep your arms back, straighten your front leg, drop your front hip bones, lift your tailbone for half split. One more. Lunge forward, and then hips back. There's lots of different ways to do half split, but this just shows you can be very effective without being really fancy with your upper body. Arms come up. And then both hands come to the ground on the inside of your right foot. Ground your left palm, right arm to sky for easy twist. Try to find this twist more from rotating your body and your ribs, less from just dumping into that shoulder mobility. Get strong through your core. You might want to tuck your back toes just for more support. Prop up onto your fingertips, your left fingertips, and lift up into twisted low lunge. Left arm reaches forward, right arm reaches back. Find that level pelvis again. And then follow it through to the reverse. So your right hand's going to come to your lower back. Left arm is going to reach to the sky. Look over your back shoulder. Square your chest to the front of your space. Right hand comes to right hip, left arm reaches. On your inhale, reach up. Exhale, tip over to the right for a side stretch on the left. Inhale, center. Hands to prayer, or to heart center, or your sternum, however you think of it. Lean forwards and twist towards the right. Try to hook your left elbow onto your right knee. And then press your palms together to leverage a slightly deeper twist. Trying to get your thumbs back to your sternum. It's okay if they don't get there. You're just looking to deepen that twist. Back to center. Hands to the ground, tuck your back toes, and step your right foot back to downward dog. One breath here. Left leg lifts to the sky. And then lean forward, step that left foot to your left pinky finger, drop your right knee, arms come up, low lunge. I'm not going to explain the whole thing again, but we're going in between our lunge and our half split. So squeeze your glutes, especially the right one. Lunge your hips forwards until you feel sensation through the front of your right hip. And then straighten that front leg or intend it towards straight and tip your tailbone up. Arms can sweep by your side. Come forward. Squeeze the right glute. And come back. Tip your tailbone back. Flex your left toes up towards your face. One more. Lunge forward, arms come up. And lunge back. Tip your pelvis. Come forward. Both hands to the ground. Lift your left arm, easy twist. Option to tuck your back toes for some stability. Get strong through your core and prop up onto your right fingertips. And then lift your shoulders up over your hips for twisted low lunge, right arm forward, left arm back. Follow it through to the reverse, left arm to lower back. Right arm reaches up to the sky. Look over your back shoulder. Square your chest to the front of the space. Right arm reaches, left arm on your hip. And on your exhale, tip over towards the left. Again, the more you fire through that right glute, the less far you actually have to tip before you feel sensation in your side and in your hip flexor. Come back to center. Hands to prayer. Start to lean your chest forward. Twist towards your top knee, and then hook your right elbow to your left knee. Press your palms together to leverage that twist. Lift your chest. Keep your spine long, chin pointing towards your fingertips. Try to find a long line from the crown of your head to your base of your spine. Release that, hands back down to the ground. Step your left foot back, down dog. Pedal out your legs. Press the mat away. One more breath here. And then look to the top of your space and step both feet forwards. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle your arms up, stand up, look up. And exhale, hands back to your heart. Take a breath here. On your inhale, circle your arms up to the sky. Exhale, sit into your chair. Did not forget about it. Try to rip the mat apart, so activating through the outsides of your legs. Hands come to heart center. On your inhale, grow your spine a little bit longer. Exhale, twist to the right, hook your left elbow to your right knee. And then press your palms together to leverage your twist a little bit more. Stay strong through your legs, long through your spine. Press your right knee into your left elbow and your left elbow into your right knee actively. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, forward fold. On your inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the ground and step your left foot back into a lunge. Ground your left palm, right arm floats up, easy twist. Try to find some distance between your rib cage and your right thigh. And then right hand comes down to the inside of your right foot. Drop your back heel, so your back foot is parallel to the short edge of your mat. And then crawl your hands towards the back of your mat, towards the left. Pivot all 10 toes to face the long edge of your mat. And lunge into your left knee for skater lunge. Now, even if you can go lower, just stay with your hips at about the same height as your knee for now. Left knee is intending towards left toe. Back is flat, and then you can bring fingertips to the ground for some support. And then crawl those hands over to the right for skater lunge on the right, starting to warm up our inner thighs and glutes. Last one, skater lunge on the left. Keep your chest proud, neck long. And then crawl back towards the top of your mat, pivot all 10 toes to face the short of your mat up front. Make sure that your feet are on separate tracks here for balance. Left arm down, right arm up, easy twist. Get strong through your core. Prop up onto your left fingertips. And then using the strength of your legs and your core, lift your shoulders on top of your hips for twisted crescent lunge. Left arm forward, right arm back. Squeeze your glutes to keep your pelvis level. Follow it through to the reverse. Right arm to low back, left arm to the sky. Look over your back shoulder. Keep breathing. Square your chest to the forwards. Left arm reaches, right arm on your hip. On your inhale, get taller. On your exhale, tip over towards the right. Keep your balance here, staying strong through your legs. You can always take a wider stance, like not longer, but wider on your mat. Back to center, hands to your heart. Start to tip forward, straighten your back leg, and then twist towards the right, left elbow comes to right knee. Press your palms together for twisted lunge here. Thinking about a nice straight and strong line from the tip of your head down to your heel. And then look down at the ground in front of you. Start to lean forwards, and as gracefully and as quietly as you possibly can, step your back foot forwards to meet your front for twisted chair. One breath here. And then exhale, forward fold. If everyone can just make sure that they're on mute, that would be really awesome. Thank you. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Arms come up, eyes come up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Take a breath here. Inhale, circle up your arms. Exhale, sit into your chair. Check to make sure you can see all 10 toes. Check to make sure your pelvis is level. Hands to your heart. Twist to the left, right elbow hooks, and then press your palms together. Deepen your twist. If your wrists are starting to hurt, you can always find fists instead. Kind of like an angry prayer. But it does help your wrists. Inhale, center. Exhale, forward fold. Flat back, inhale. Exhale, hands to the ground, bend your knees if you need to. Step your right foot back. Left arm comes to the sky, easy twist. Left arm comes to the inside of the left foot. Drop your back heel so your back foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat. Crawl your hands back towards the back of the mat. Pivot all 10 toes to face the long edge. Coming into skater on the right. Keeping your hips relatively high in line with your knee, flat back. Knees pointing wide towards your pinky toe. Maybe unsupported this time, glide over to the top of the mat. Skater on the left. Last one, skater on the right. Hands can come down, crawl yourself forwards to the top of the mat. Pivot all 10 toes forward into a lunge. Left arm comes up, easy twist. Get strong through your core. Prop up onto those right fingertips. And then using the strength of your legs and the stability of your lower body, lift your shoulders up on top of your pelvis. Now notice that it's really hard to keep your pelvis level if your back leg is straight. So let that back knee bend so that you can drop your tailbone and lift your front hips. Let those arms follow through into the reverse. Right arm to sky. Square your chest to the front of the mat. Tip over towards the left for a stretch on your right. Come back to center, hands to your heart. Straighten your back leg now and tip forwards, bending into that front knee. Twist towards your top knee, hook your right elbow to your left knee. You know the drill, press your palms together or your fists. Long line from your heel to the crown of your head. And then look down at the ground, find your stability. Try to move with control and step your back foot to meet your front for twisted chair. Hold here, press your knee into your elbow and your elbow into your knee. And exhale, forward fold. We'll let that go. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Take a breath here. Inhale, circle your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back. Hands to the ground, step back, high plank. Drop your knees or don't, and lower all the way down to your belly. Untuck your toes, squeeze your glutes. On your inhale, float your chest, float your palms, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. We're gonna press back to child's pose. So big toes together, knees about as wide as the mat or enough for your rib cage to fit between. And sink your hips down, intending them towards your heels. Intending your forehead towards the floor, palms out in front of you. If deep hip flexion is really uncomfortable for you, you can always stay up a little bit higher. You can always place a pillow or a block underneath your thighs or sit bones. The other way to modify would be a block or just stack your fists underneath your forehead so your head doesn't have to come down quite so far. Or if it's the shoulder part that's uncomfortable for you, you can always just rest your hands down by your sides and let your shoulders fall forward. And just return your focus to your breath. Breathing low into your belly. Balancing our effort with some ease here. Remembering that you came here to yoga today for mobility, for health, for relaxation, for a chance to get out of your head a little bit. Take this opportunity when it's in front of you. Or you came because your coach told you to, which is also an excellent reason. 2 more breaths here. And then pull your chest forward. Tuck your toes, and we'll meet in downward dog. Take a breath here. Now bend your knees, look forward, step forward to the top of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Hopefully these folds are feeling a little bit easier. Inhale, come all the way up. Look up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, circle your arms up. Exhale, fold. I'll let you skip the chair this time. Halfway lift. Hands to the ground, step back, high plank. Drop your knees or don't, and lower all the way to your belly. Untuck your toes, neck is long, glutes are on, float your chin, float your chest, float your hands, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Tuck your toes, press up and back, downward dog. Right leg lifts towards the sky. Step it forward to your right thumb in between your hands. Right arm floats up, easy twist. Right hand comes down to the inside of your right leg. Drop your back heel so that your back foot is parallel to the short edge of your mat. Keeping a bend into your front leg, windmill your arms up, shoulders on top of hips for warrior 2. Check in with your back foot, make sure you're not collapsing into your arch. Front knee is intending towards your front pinky toe. Pelvis is level, so glutes are on. Spine is growing straight up out of your pelvis. Your stance is about as wide as your hands. So hands on top of feet, energy coming out through your fingers. Take a breath here. Then straighten your front leg. Lift your front toes. Bring your back heel in just a tiny little bit. Hands to your heart. And we're gonna skater lunge towards the back of the mat, so towards the left leg. Now this is where, if you can come a little bit lower, okay? We don't need to worry too much about our spine in this position because we're not carrying load, okay? We're not back squatting, but you are still intending your spine towards straight. This is very uncomfortable for you. Skater lunge is always here for you. Do what works for your body. If your heel is up, again, not a big deal, but start to work it towards the ground for that ankle mobility. Now, actively or not, gliding over towards the other side, pivoting on your feet. Make sure that your knee that's bent is intending out towards that pinky toe. You can use your elbow to help get it there. Opposite toes, if you're very low, are pointing up, but if you're high up in skater, they can be flat on the mat. Last one, glide back towards the back of the mat. Sink your hips if you can. And then wherever you're at, see if you can get your tricep or your elbow or something to push your left knee a little bit wider. You can stay here, or you can land your left hand and lift your right arm up for a twist. Do what works for your body here. We're looking for hip opening. We're looking for a twisting sensation. We're looking to stretch our adductors. And then hands can come to the ground. Help yourself towards the top of the mat. Pivot all 10 toes into a lunge. On your inhale, pull your heart forwards. And then exhale, step to the top of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Heel toe your feet a little bit wider than hip distance, maybe as wide as your mat. Turn your toes in a little bit. Send your knees wide and sink your hips down, low as you can. We're coming into low squat, or malasana, as the yogis call it. You can adjust your stance however you need. You can use your elbows, hands in prayer, to send your knees wide, intending them over your toes. Back is trying to get flat if it can get there. This is super, super uncomfortable. You can always pop up. You can also sit on a block. Maybe lean from side to side, get into your ankle mobility a little bit. And then exhale, forward fold. Let that go. Heel toe your feet back together or hip width distance. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the ground. Step back, high plank. Drop your knees or go from your toes, lower down to the ground. Untuck your toes. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Tuck your toes. Lift up and back, downward dog. Left leg comes to the sky. Step it forwards to your left thumb. Left arm lifts, easy twist. Left arm comes to the inside of your left foot, drop your back heel. Keeping that bend through the front leg, windmill your arms up for warrior two. Hips are open towards the long edge of the mat, but front knee is intending towards your front pinky toe. Send some energy out through your fingers. It's one of those poses where you work a little bit harder and it gets a whole lot easier. And again, find your level pelvis. Turn your back toes out just a little bit. Straighten your front leg, lift your front toes. Hands to heart center. And lunge as deeply as you can into your back leg, that's your right leg. Again, all the options are there for you. Do what feels good for you. Glide up to the top of the mat. Low side lunge. I don't know the technical term. In yoga, they call it skandasana. And then glide to the back of your mat, pivoting on your feet. And here's your option for the twist. You can stay in your prayer hands and just use your elbow to push your knee wide and your chest towards the left. Or you can land your right hand and lift your left arm into a twist. Hands to the ground, crawl yourself forward to the top of the mat. Left arm lifts, easy twist. Left arm comes down to the inside of the left foot, and this time heel toe your left foot about as wide as the mat. Hands are grounded on the mat. And then as gracefully as you possibly can, you're going to step your back foot to your right pinky finger and drop your hips and come back into Malasana squat or low squat. All the same options as before. If you would like to add on, do the peak pose of this practice. Try to see if you can wiggle your left arm as low as you can. Left palm comes to the ground. Right arm reaches, look up to the sky. And then switch, right palm comes down. Use your right tricep or shoulder or elbow or whatever you got there to send that knee wide. Use the strength of your glute to keep your left knee wide. Left arm opens up into your twist. Both hands down. And then wherever you're at, just use your hands for support and just sit down. All the hard stuff is done. Lower onto your back. Legs can be extended. Arms by your side. Just take a second and let that sink in. Then bring the soles of your feet to the ground. Knees are bent. Heel toe your feet a little bit wider than your hips, about as wide as your mat if you have a mat. And let your knees knock in together. Bring your left hand to your rib cage and your right hand to your belly. Start to tune into your breath. Keep focusing on that breathing. Keep trying to expand your inhales, sending them lower. And lengthening your exhales. Just remembering to stay on mute if possible. Then separate your knees. Feet are still wider than hip width distance. And start to windshield wiper your knees back and forth. So let them both fall over to the left and both fall over to the right, taking your time. Your top hip might lift. And just focusing on that top knee, whichever one it is, focus on that hip, that top hip. We did a lot of hip external rotation, really deep hip flexion today, so use this counter stretch. Maybe you feel it in your low back or the front of your hip. The next time your knees fall over to the left, stay there. Sometimes you can add a subtle deepening to this stretch by grabbing opposite elbows and lifting your arms up overhead or into a T or a cactus. An option to just place your left ankle on top of your right knee to pull it a little bit lower into that internal rotation. Send your breath low. When you inhale, try to think about expanding your rib cage and your belly 360 degrees. So not just into the front of your body, but into your rib cage and into your back. If you have your ankle hooked, unhook it. Winch a for your knees over towards the right, so the left knee is on top. Find whatever variation of the stretch works for you here. You can hook your right ankle on top of your left knee and just gently start to pull it towards the ground. Again, noticing any differences that you have. We do, most of us, if you paddle or canoe, kind of a lopsided sport, and even on top of that, everyone just has differences in their anatomy. And yoga is a good tool for self-reflection on a number of levels, including in your body. Maybe you move in ways that you don't usually move in real life, and that brings to light something that you didn't realize you had, an imbalance or a weakness or a strength. It's also an opportunity for self-reflection in your mind, mentally. In the silence, in the movement, thoughts start to come up that we usually drown out with other things that are going on. Social media, school, hopefully. Unhook your ankle if you have that hook. Bring your knees back to center. And bring the soles of your feet together. Knees fall wide, reclined butterfly. Get really soft through your belly. And then option here, if it doesn't feel good in your back, then don't do it. But bring your palms to the very, very top of your legs, like right at your hip crease. Take a big inhale, and then on your exhale, straighten your arms. Not too aggressively, just gently starting to traction your pelvis away from your spine. Maybe you feel a little bit of a release in your low back. Our low back takes a lot of pressure all day, carrying the weight of our big brains and our big hearts and everything in our upper body, our big biceps. So tractioning it a little bit, as long as there's no pain, can help. And then let that go. Send your legs long, coming into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Arms by your side, palms facing up, close your eyes or soften them. Tune back into your breath. We're going to do a short breathing exercise here. If at any, it's meant to be relaxing and not too difficult. So if at any time you start to feel anxious, just return to this normal, natural rhythm of your breath. Let's start by syncing up our breath. Wherever you're at, just exhale all the air out of your lungs. And then take a deep inhale all together. Pause at the top. And sigh it out an open mouth. Exhale. We're going to inhale together for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. pause. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Continue at your own pace. You can keep the count of 4. Maybe you want to move to a count of 5 or 3, whatever is working for your body right now. Just looking for even inhales and exhales. Short pause at the top and short pause at the bottom. And then let that go. Finish your round of breath. And just start to breathe normally and naturally. Notice your thoughts that come up in the stillness. Without judgment. There's no real way to stop thinking, so just live with them and they'll pass. Start to bring some movement into your fingers and your toes. Maybe touch your thumb to the tip of each one of your fingers. Circle your wrists and ankles. Start to let your head gently fall from side to side, like you're saying, no, no, I don't want to get up. And then when you're ready, bring yourself up into a seated position. Thank you so much for doing yoga with me. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I would love to hear from you, thoughts, anything that didn't make sense or that you liked or that you didn't like. Feel free to message me at any time. Just a reminder for those of you participating in the CKO camp, there are some activities coming up in the next few days. So tomorrow, which is Wednesday at 7 p.m. there's the Ask a Coach session. Should be super fun. I'm going to be on the panel, so you can ask me anything, and a bunch of other, well, much more knowledgeable coaches than me. The Athlete Social is at 7 p.m. on Thursday. So make sure you sign up for that. It should be a really good time to actually connect with other humans. And then any of the training activities that you're submitting your results for are due on Friday. So thank you so much, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow.